Well, hello. I want to welcome you to my review of a Esterbrook pocket pen, although it was actually sold as a purse pen, so something a little bit different. So if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to comment on this pen or anything else that you see in the video today, please feel free to leave a comment down below. So this is the Esterbrook, get it right here, CH, which is the designation that they gave to their pocket pens. Now you're saying pocket pen? It was called a purse pen, I know. But let's put, just for giggles and snorts, a Kaweco Sport next to it. Now this is the aluminum model, but the plastic one's the same size. So yeah, definitely a pocket size pen. It's just a little bit more traditionally penny. Can I say that? And just as an additional comparison, the Kaweco Sport is used posted. This one I really have to use posted as well. So yeah, I'd say it rises to the challenge. So this was sold as a purse pen between 1950 to 1957. You might be asking how I know that. Well, the reason I know that is because of the color. The 1950 to 1957 version was a pastel color. There were a number of pastels. I don't remember exactly how many. My chair is really squeaking here. And I don't know if I'm loosening or tightening the bolt that's loose. Anyway, sold as a variety of pastel colors. You know, there was an orchid and kind of a coral and a lot of different nice colors. You can check the link to get a closer look at the colors. I purchased the yellow one because that's what was for sale where I found this one. And after this period, the pen was slightly redesigned with colored finials. Mine are black. And more vibrant colors. And I believe a smaller selection. They call these jewels, even though they're not really jewels. And then there was also a competing H version of the pen. This is the CH. The H had no clip. So I'm going to guess the C stands for clip. I don't know. I couldn't find anything that told me what the H stood for. Now this pen is a relative of the Esterbrook J. It is so named because the pens have an ink sac in them. And the J comes from the J bar that's used to squeeze the ink sac. Now, I don't seem to have a J bar available except in a pen, and I don't want to take one apart just for this, but this pen is about as close as you can get to a demonstrator that I have that shows the workings of the pen. So what happens is you pull on the lever and it squeezes the ink sac inside, and then that theoretically draws up the ink. So ink sacs, of course, are pliable. Now you can get them in silicone, which I kind of like. I may go that route more. Anyway, so this is an Esterbrook J. This is the full-size pen. There was also an SJ and an LJ. This is an SJ. So we're running out of room here on my little holder, so we'll go with this. So clearly size differences. The LJ, which is the one that is not here, is this length, the length of the J, but shorter. Or I'm sorry, slimmer. And I also have what I'm not 100% sure, this is going to show up one of these days. This is I believe it's an older pen. It's I want to say a VisuMaster 3, but I'm not sure. So we'll set that one aside for now. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're looking at vintage pens, of course, the big pen was typically smaller than what we think of pens being nowadays. Okay, had to edit somehow. It's been very humid and wet here, and I don't usually have allergy trouble, but yeah, they're acting up. Anyway, let's get back to the pens. So, I think I had just gotten done talking about the different models of the Esterbrook. But of course, we're concerned with the purse pen, the CH, also sometimes called the pastel. One of the faults that it has It's made out of a softer plastic than your typical Esterbrook's. I mean, you'll notice, let me grab one here. The finish is quite different. And it's just a softer, thinner plastic. So you'll frequently find these if you purchase one. Look for cracks right here around the cap. And I'm going to show you part of why that can happen besides the plastic. Of course, the cap jewel, finials as they're called in some pens, nothing special, just a piece of plastic. Esterbrook on the clip, fairly simple there. And these have, this is an American company, so you'll find engraved on the side, Esterbrook, made in the USA. In fact, I believe at this time they were made in Camden, New Jersey, but you might want to fact check me on that. And then the nib I will be using today is an Esterbrook 2314 broad relief nib. Although to me it looks slightly oblique, as you'll see when I start writing. All right, so that is supposedly a little bit thin and can crack. The pen itself is not comfortable if it's not posted. So there we go, posted. But see, now we're putting pressure up here, which is how this can end up being broken. And I have to hold it on the threads. Now, I will say in the defense of the threads, they're not sharp, but it is a little uncomfortable. But I look at pens like this not so much as being for long writing sessions, but as just for a short grab a pen, write something and put it away. Although, being a screw cap, it'll take a little longer. And to unscrew it, is that about one full rotation. And it just doesn't feel stable up here where it's held on by friction. But let's take a look at how this thing writes. This is marketed as the relief as a stub nib. Like I said, it seems more oblique to me, but not as oblique as most of my obliques. I will also say it definitely has a feel like a slightly, like a cursive italic, where I can't, if I get too much off the right position, it starts digging at the paper. So is it oblique italic? I don't know. Cursive oblique? I don't know what to call it. So I always, and you can see I've got it rotated with respect to the paper because of that angle. Now, not a flex nib at all, although Esterbrook did make some flex nibs. Let's just try this. That's saying oblique to me. Esterbrook did actually make some flex nibs. Maybe when I do the SJ, I'll put a flex nib in that one. Let's see. Wetness and flow. I think you can already tell it's on the wet side. Yeah, we're not having any trouble keeping up. And typically the Esterbrook's I've had are good writers. Let's see the smear test, which is just as much a test of the ink as it is of the pen. Yeah, pretty wet. And then the reverse writing, which I can't see a point with this nib. Okay, less said about that, the better. So now I'm going to dive into a longer form writing sample with a quote. Those of you who are interested in the exact quote, because it'll go by too fast, I will have a copy of the quote down below in the show notes. Along with, you might have noticed numbers appearing over here, somewhere. Those links will be in the video description as well. And any links to specific YouTube videos. I'm trying to do the thingy up here that I don't remember what it's called, but it has a little gray circle with an eye in it. So the exact story there is a little bit of dubious history behind it, but perhaps little current events there. Early asylum seeker. Anyway, so as you can see, it writes really nicely. I like the effect of a stub nib when you're writing. It just kind of gives it this neat calligraphy-like character, even if your handwriting isn't the best. So I really enjoyed writing with that pen. I appreciate the quality manufacture of Esterbrook's. They did typically, except for this one, they did typically use a very high quality plastic. It's a thick plastic. All the furnishings on their pens are stainless steel. They're just very well made. Stainless steel is a little more robust than a, cheaper brass trim would be, or, a chromed steel or something. One neat thing, these nibs are removable. All you do, just like if you have a Pelican and can't remember what is it called? Edison? Do Edisons do that? You can unscrew the nib. It comes out as a unit, and you can replace it. And they sold them that way. I mean, that was an intentional thing. This, by the way, I think is one of their flex nibs. Yep. We'll do that in the pen. Yeah, flexi. So, yeah, you could purchase quite a number of nibs if you wanted to. There were all sorts, which made them really fun. Nice selection. In fact, the Pen Addict compared that to a coffee shop where you can go in your local coffee shop and buy just anything you want. Another thing that I liked at the Pen Addict, sorry, I keep wanting to say Pen Habit, but that's a different channel. The Pen Addict said was that this is like the Lamy Safari. Well, okay, this is an all-star, but like the Lamy Safari of the vintage world. It's a low-cost pen. It's easy to find. It comes in a variety of colors. Comes in a variety of nibs. I liked that description. It is easy to repair. It's a fun introduction to vintage pens. I mean, if you want to repair it, the nib, if the nib is too bent up, which I suspect this one might be, I might be able to fix it. I'm going to try writing with it before I give up on it. It just seems a little curved in for a typical pen. But anyway, you just unscrew the nib unit, put a different one in. The section here pulls out. You'll find a rubber sack attached to it. Maybe if it's in bad enough shape, you'll find pieces of rubber in there. And then there's a J-bar running around inside, and you can still purchase J-bars at different sizes to repair your vintage pens, which I actually had to do with this one, because this one came with a broken J-bar. Sack was fine, J-bar was broken. So, yeah, it's a fun, easy, low-cost, usually, intro to your vintage pens. There is a new Esterbrook pen company. I'll put a link to it I have a link to it in my video description. And also, I have a link to one of the modern Esterbrook options called Esterbrook Nostalgia up there. But it is not the same company. It is the pens are a different world from these Esterbrook J series pens. Originally, the pen company was founded 1858. I'm kind of looking at my notes now. 1967. The J's came out in the 1950s. In 1967, they were struggling. They didn't do that whole switch over to ballpoint as well as some other companies did, and they couldn't survive on their fountain pens alone, I guess. And I think offering that wide variety of nibs may have been, because then the retailers have to display them all, and this is in a time when you have less fountain pens, and I'm conjecturing here. But I think that just may have been a bunch of things working against them. But anyway, 1967, they were purchased by the Venus Pencil Company, and then 4 years later, 1971, they shut down production entirely. But 2014, the name was purchased and the brand restarted. Anderson Pen Company had a review of them when they first came out. Like I said, I have the Edison Nostalgia. You can see what I thought of them. That's that review. So I suppose the big question is, would I buy this pen again if something happened to it or if I saw another one? The answer is I have enough. I have exactly as many of these pocket pens or purse pens as I want. One. It's neat to have. I hardly ever ink it up because I'm always scared this will be the time when I crack the lip. So it spends a lot of time just sitting in my pen case. That said, if something bad did happen to this one, I'd probably look for another pocket pen, but I wouldn't be in a huge hurry to replace it. I like the Esterbrook J. I actually have several of them. I've reviewed this one. A couple of the others I have are, they're just different finishes. I do like them. I don't seem to ink them up very often, but I do like them. And, but yeah, this one, meh. I like it, the idea, but as a pocket pen, it's not one of my favorites. That help? So, if videos like this interest you, where I talk about fountain pens both new and old and at all price points, I would invite you to subscribe. If you'd like to talk about the Esterbrook Pastel Purse Pen, or any of the other pens you saw today, or maybe even the ink, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And as always, I thank you for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.